Morning Scramble is presented by Wildlife World Zoo and Aquarium.
Keep doing what she says.
So when you're talking about coaching, as we were with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and as Angela was, personal coaching on a network basis, it means so many different things to so many different people. In this case, we are going to be talking about how to coach to win the leadership game. And Lord knows, if you just look around, you probably will agree somebody needs to take over the reins. Pete Walsh is here. He is the author. Bill Shover is here and will explain why in just a moment. Shover, you can show up anytime you want to. Doesn't matter what the guest is.
I've been here a few times.
Yeah, and here you're now following in the footsteps of one of your favorite categories of humankind. I'm talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You're a marvelous, enthusiastic supporter of all sports. But when it comes to Kareem, he had the opportunity to be coached by John Wooden.
And I love John Wooden, and I read a lot about him. I study about him. John Wooden is a great segue about coaching, because John Wooden was all about fundamentals and details. And my book's about how leaders in business need to do more of that. They need to practice the fundamentals. They need to create an environment in which people will bring their best energy.
Did you explain to me the answer to the mystery that I've never been able to solve? Why so many business leaders, so many executives and CEOs can take a look at the people who are enormously successful by relating to their staffs and developing that kind of an atmosphere, and they still ignore it.
Well, leaders that are going to succeed in the future better figure it out quickly, because I think coaching is the right form of leadership for today's workforce. And there was just something I read the other day that the kids coming up, they're not going to be working for jerks anymore. And if you think about it, if you're a demanding boss, you're a jerk. But if you're a demanding coach, this guy was a demanding coach. You respect him, you love him. I love this guy. I follow him anywhere. So people better figure it out, because leaders, things are changing very quickly. And the leaders that learn how to tap into that kind of energy and create that kind of environment are going to have successful companies. And the ones that don't are going to fail and go out of business.
Okay, I'll join the fawning over Shover brigade here. But Bill, listen, I have known you for a long, long time. You were with the Republic for how long?
47 years.
Involved with virtually every facet of community affairs, developing the Fiesta Bowl along with some other business people in town, and so many other things a part of your legacy. And yet he said you were a tough guy, that you were a tough leader.
Well, he referred to John Wooden, another Indiana boy, so I learned from John Wooden as well.
Mr. Butler guy.
Exactly
here.
Right, Butler.
Right.
Yeah. I had these kids for 17 years. I coached boys baseball from 7 years of age to 18 years of age. And I felt it was a time in their life when they needed a little discipline. Sometimes they got it at home, sometimes they didn't get it, but when they were on that baseball field, they had it. And it probably helped people like Peter here, because he when he came to me, by the way, he was the most unathletic kid I've ever had in my life. He didn't know if he was left-handed or right-handed, as a matter of fact. I had to teach him how to pick up a bat.
Shover never forgets.
It's a little bit painful, but it's still fun. We have fun.
But he was always a smart kid. One time, Jerry Colangelo was one of my coaches, and he was throwing batting practice one day, and he hit Peter. And Peter falls down. Of course, all I could think of was lawsuit, and so was Peter thinking about it. So we picked up Peter, took him to his mother's house. His mother's a nurse, and she examined him. She says, "Peter, go back to the field. You're a phony." So he went back to the field and had to go back to play baseball that day. So
Is that good coaching?
Right, it is, because he knew I was scared to death to be hit by a ball, and he also knew Colangelo had a propensity for hitting left-handed batters. So he put him in there because he hit the two lefties before me. By now I was shaking to death. He came in, he hit me, but he made fun. We had lightness about it, and that's another important thing about him. He was strong, but he also created this fun. So he told me, get up, get back, get going, and I was less afraid of getting hit by a ball after that. Now, when I see Colangelo to this day, I still kind of give him the treatment that I'm still deciding whether I'm going to take action.
A lot
about
of people do that same thing with the arm with Colangelo.
Yeah, they do.
And
That's
they
an
weren't
Italian
even playing
thing.
baseball.
It's an
Yes.
Italian
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Let me first tell you about him, something about him, though. When he was my team first, I was willed this bunch of kids. They were left over. No one wanted this bunch of boys.
How old?
They were 9 to 12.
Yeah.
And they didn't even know right hand or left hand. They drafted all the other good teams, taking the boys. So I was left with this bunch of kids. That year we won one game, and it rained that night. The first time it rained for years in the Valley, but it rained the night we won the game. The next year we were second place. The third year they were first place. This guy became one of our better hitters, and he could hardly pick up a bat when he started because he worked hard, as he does today. He applied himself. Most people don't do that, but he never gave up. That's the nice thing about Pete.
Okay, listen, because we have such limited time, and the biggest enemy that we have, even when we have friends on the morning scramble, the biggest enemy is the clock. So very, very briefly, just give moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, and some of the Little League coaches out there one tip that means this is the development of real solid leadership. How do they start?
Bringing out the answers from the people they're working with, really asking questions, trying to help people find their own source of motivation, their own source of wisdom. Great coaches create an environment in which they ask good questions, they listen, and they help people find their own desire, their own dreams, and that's what Bill did. He helped kids really find their own source of wanting to get better.
Okay, then advise whomever it is that's going to be the president in 2012, very quickly give him advice on leadership, or her.
Learn how to collaborate, learn how to work with others, and let's also learn from something that happened this last week with a very famous coach. Let's have very high integrity from top to bottom in our organization, because if we don't, it's going to be a problem.
Where do we get the book?
Amazon.com, and this is about giving business leaders a simple process, because there are steps to being a coaching leader in business.
And I tell you right now, you guys are welcome to come down anytime, as long as you promise to improve the leadership of the community, the state, and the nation.
We're trying.
Or the baseball field down the street. You know what? I think one of the real keys to leadership, too, is having a pet. But what happens when you lose that pet? What do you do about that kind of grief? The answer coming up next.